So all of this information is based on post New 52 Wonder Woman. So there are bits and bobs that have been changed, as I'm sure you can imagine, with a character as old as Wonder Woman.
Yes.
When you're making a big history change, it's going to affect a fair bit of their backstory because they're going to want to chop out loads of crap to try and make it a bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
So Princess Diana, aka Wonder Woman, was born to Hippolyta and Zeus. She lived on Themyscira, the island of the Amazons, her entire life until she volunteered to enter the human world to fight for justice and equality. She joined and co-founded the Justice League. She was also a core member of the Justice Society of America.
Oh.
And she is one of DC's big three.
Yeah.
Marvel's big three traditionally was obviously Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wolverine.
Yep.
Post MCU, there are people who genuinely believe the Marvel's big three are Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. Shows you the power of film.
Yep.
The DC big three is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. It's not much of a discussion.
Yeah.
So although she was told she was formed from clay that had life breathed into it by her mother's desire for a child, this was in fact a lie to protect her from Hera, Zeus's wife, who didn't know of Zeus's affair with Hippolyta. Even in DC lore, Zeus is a massive slut.
I mean,
how else would you describe Zeus?
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah. As a child, Diana yearned for more than the island of Themyscira had to offer. After some minor adventures as a child, she was allowed to leave for the human world. These kind of adventures were like really pushing the boundaries and like bumping into the megalodons that guarded Themyscira that she was terrified of, and going to find lost texts that apparently were like part of a conspiracy to like change Themyscira's history so that they would only remember the good things they'd done and kind of write over some of the bad they'd done.
Right.
So she was like, in her childhood, it was almost like she was like a little like Indiana Jones, just cutting about like finding
Lara
these
Croft.
ancient relics. Yeah, Lara Croft. Them kind of vibes, but as a legitimate child. Anyway, so she was allowed to leave for the human world, and she arrived in 1939.
Just after I was born.
Yep. She saved the life of FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, from a Nazi spy and warned him of the coming evil. While doing this, she obtained permission to be the world's first superhero and continue acting to protect the innocent. She would later become a key member of the Justice Society of America during the golden age of heroes that operated during the Second World War, to help and fight evil wherever they found it, before the JSA and Wonder Woman were forced into retirement by the government. Decades later, she returned to her superhero life to help form the Justice League as a founding member alongside your Batman, your Superman, your Green Lanterns.
The boys.
Exactly. During the years, she has fought as a key member of the Justice League, as well as traveling all over the world, battling evildoers and righting wrongs. Due to her heritage as an Amazonian and demigod, and additional powers that were granted to her as extra protection when leaving Themyscira, she is incredibly powerful. She's super strong, she's super durable, she's crazy fast, she's got insane reflexes, she's incredibly agile, as well as having a healing factor that puts her overall about as difficult to kill as Superman and Supergirl. She's not physically as difficult to harm as them, but she has a much more powerful healing factor and kind of get fucked, I don't care attitude, which makes her difficult to put down.
Fair.
She also has incredibly enhanced senses, with her sight, smell, and hearing, as well as being able to fly and communicate with animals. Because she's still a
Didn't know that.
princess.
Ah,
And as we all know in law, princesses can communicate with animals.
this is true.
And she is functionally immortal, meaning that she doesn't age past her prime. I always used to get confused about what immortal meant, and I feel like it gets used kind of interchangeably with invincible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kind of comment. She's also, due to her advanced lifespan, a master of basically all weaponry, although she is fond of more traditional weapons like swords and shields and bows and arrows. She has a keen tactical mind and is incredibly wise and intelligent, with a specific knack for diplomacy. So she kind of acts as the intermediary between the Justice League and governments, but also within the Justice League itself to help resolve disputes, because she is quite wise and, like I said, has a knack for diplomacy. It's interesting because a lot of people take issue with like her being intelligent. It's like, well, she is very intelligent because she's well studious, but the bigger thing is that she's wise, and I think a lot of people don't realize the difference between wise and intelligence.
Yeah.
Like, you always see memes about it. It's like, wise is knowing not to kick the rock that's trapped. Intelligence is knowing that the rock is booby trapped.
Yeah. It's that the other example I love is like intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wise is knowing it doesn't go in a fruit salad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
So she's wise. She takes information that she knows and she makes sense of it instead of just knowing the information. And because of like, the diplomacy just naturally comes from like this Greek pantheon that she comes from. The Greeks invented diplomacy, so it's kind of difficult to have this kind of a character without the idea of them being quite
You've also got to
diplomatic.
remember, like, she's old as fuck. So like she's been around and seen a lot. So like it
In
makes
100
sense.
years, you'll both be dead, and I won't remember this argument.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, that is Wonder Woman.
Would make a great third film.
It would, but we will talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.